Good morning, South Summit. How's everyone doing this morning? Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning for a topic that is immensely important in the business landscape today. I'm joined by my esteemed panelists, Alberto Manzano and Cristina Carrascosa, and we're going to talk about a topic that holds immense significance in today's rapidly evolving digital landscape: the power of Web3 technologies and their potential to shape the future of business. We find ourselves at a pivotal moment in history where AI, blockchain, decentralized platforms, and more are revolutionizing industries across the globe. These emerging technologies offer unprecedented opportunities for business evolution, enabling us to reimagine traditional models and unlock new realms of innovation. So today, I'd like my esteemed panelists to introduce themselves, and please tell us, both of you, please tell us one reason why you got involved or how you got involved in the Web3 space.
Okay, sure. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for coming today. I'm Alberto. I'm an engineer. If I get too techie, please stop me. But I got involved in the Web3 space because somewhat our startup, Anwar, is a decentralized platform somehow. Since we decentralize computing power to the cloud, we are a cloud gaming platform, and for so we are involved in the Web3 space.
I'm Cristina Carrascosa. I'm a lawyer, and I got involved in the crypto space around 2014. My main goal, or the thing I saw super attractive of this space, was that at the time, there was no regulatory framework to get grabbed to. And as I really like innovation, and I think that the world evolves based on innovation, I thought it would maybe be of some help if some lawyers tried to help crypto projects or AI now projects to be able to develop themselves with somehow an evolving regulatory framework. And I've been working in this space since then.
Thank you both, Cristina and Alberto. Let me ask you, how do you see AI, blockchain, and decentralized platforms impacting traditional business models in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay.
We'll start with Alberto, please.
Sure. Long question. I'll try to be short, but I see different technologies being applied differently in traditional businesses. I think when we are speaking about decentralized platforms, it may usually be related to blockchain, but I think AI, for example, is what it's truly in the word of mouth nowadays because of ChatGPT and everything that's happening right now, and people know about generative AI even more if you go to the United States. And I think we all may agree that AI in general may speed up the developments and also enterprises in the way they behave or they usually operate. I mean, we all even do it in our houses through technology like assistants. So AI, I think it's going to be, in the short term, probably the technology that impacts more in the traditional businesses through maybe even predictive analysis and also querying natural language. And by this, I mean, with ChatGPT, the revolution has come because we all can ask in a natural way what we want to get information about it, or even help in our day-to-day based tasks. But in terms of predictive analysis, I think it's going to be a revolution in the 5 to 10 years. Along with blockchain, I don't have that opinion, because I think it depends on where the masses has already adopted this technology. And South America, for example, I mean, where they use technologies like blockchain on a day-to-day basis, along with it, centralized platforms, I see that's where more traditional businesses are going to be speed up in the 5 to 10 years. But if I have to give a hint in the Web3 space, quantum computing too, I think it's going to be the true revolution in the long term of the Web3 space.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I would also add that usually technologies have these different phases, and I did live the blockchain one where there was this super hype. Everyone was using blockchain for no matter what, but you had to use blockchain for something. Now maybe we're seeing that with AI, but I think that what corporations need to know is which technologies can help them and in what processes or what sort of new revenues can new technologies help them in. And of course, it's not only a matter of answering those questions, but then comes the how. How are we going to implement this technology inside our business model? And there comes one of the great stoppers, but that's been like that since human is human, which is regulation, which is the only barrier for tech business models to develop. And I would say that in this point, it's more also a matter of jurisdictions. Because we've seen how fragmented crypto regulation is. AI is going to be the same. Some jurisdictions are going to embrace AI. Other jurisdictions, and I am very sad to say, I think the European Union is going to be one, are going to see with a lot of fear these sort of technologies. And innovation will always seek those territories with the highest legal certainty.
Thank
so
you.
it's going to be interesting to see.
Indeed. Christina, and we'll get back to you about what regulations we can expect in this space. But going back to the business experience, Alberto, I want to turn to you. In what ways can businesses leverage AI to enhance the customer experience and drive personalization in their products and services?
Sure. Since I'm more related to product management, I see every product can benefit with AI, for example, through recommendation systems. I mean, we have seen it in the past, even with Netflix, for example. I don't know if you heard about it, but I mean, they choose the thumbnail to show to you based on how do you engage with the platform. So they are improving, let's say, as a feature and using AI. So you get to engage more with the platform and with the product. So AI in general can be applied even with predictive analysis, how you're going to behave in the platform and adapt it to you. So
well, I think that there's just so much opportunity in this space, but I want to go back to Christina and I want to talk about the risk. What challenges and barriers do businesses face when adopting AI, blockchain, or other decentralized platforms? Can you talk about some of the regulatory risk that exists now and also what you expect to come down the pipe?
Yeah, I will speak first about a risk that it's not so much regulatory as to, I would say, security associated, which is cybersecurity and hacks. I've had, I would say, a lot of clients getting hacked when they're using these decentralized technologies. And that takes me to actually having to say that technology security is a risk. If you do not have a good team that can build a strong, resilient platform, then maybe using these new technologies is a high risk for that company. Of course, regulatory risk, I mean, that's there, and that's there for any sort of business model that is using technology, I would say, from pharma to AI. And I wouldn't say that's a risk, because you do have the certainty of what's written in a law. So that's not a risk. That's something you need to comply with. It's a risk if you decide not to comply with it. But you're cooking a cake and you know the ingredients. If you choose not to put one in the cake, then that's your choice. So it's not so much a risk as a condition that you need to comply with.
And Christina, can we just double-click on that? How do we mitigate those risks as business owners? Are there best practices that businesses can employ to mitigate the risk of being hacked or their customers being hacked if they are using these decentralized platforms?
Yes, definitely. And I do approach to your question from two sides. The first one is the technical one. And so I think it's obvious, but if you're trying to build your products on new technologies, just make sure you're hiring the best profiles, technical profiles. And also, at least in the crypto space, there are a lot of best practices that have been developed from the community. So I do remember, and I think some of you guys in the room maybe lived during the 2017 ICO run, that smart contract audits were not a thing. And the community itself ended up requiring this sort of audits because they thought there were best practices, and now everyone does smart contract auditing. So it's something that wasn't in a law, it's something that the community demanded. And I think that's the first side, and of course the other one is the legal regulatory things of the technical, so the innovation side of things. And there, what you need to know is that some territories will have a law or a regulation, others will not. So that's your choice. I always say that it's a strategic decision where you're going to base your innovative project in. If you're going to choose, and let's say, some sort of tax haven for tax reasons, which is perfectly okay, then you need to know that there are some downsides with that decision. If you're going to choose, for instance, some country in the European Union, you do know that you're going to have to comply with a high regulation, but then you also know that legal certainty is super high as well. So you will need to take decisions beforehand, and those, of course, do have consequences.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for these insights, both of you. Let's turn to inclusivity. How can businesses ensure inclusivity and accessibility when adopting AI, blockchain, or other decentralized platforms to avoid the digital divide? Are there any best practices that businesses can employ to make sure that these platforms are incorporating and enhancing inclusivity?
Yeah, following with what Christina have said, I think it's in the philosophy of Web3. I mean, all open source projects are trying to make more people realize how things operate underneath. And I think it's better for the Web3 space to, I'm trying to get back to what I was saying. The philosophy with Web3, it's enabling this technology to everybody. It's not just about blockchain, but the smart contracts too. I mean, we are trying to make public how it operates or how it works, so everybody gets to understand how it operates underneath. I want to switch.
Okay, I will just
getting
follow
back
on
to
what you were saying, and because I do agree. The thing is that I have always had the feeling that Web3 technologies are a lot of different functionalities inside a technology. So that per se is super hard to understand, and it was hard for me because I'm not a technical profile, and I'm sure it's super difficult to understand for end users, the mainstream end user. But then again, I also believe that maybe what we are trying to do as society is trying to understand something that we usually don't need to understand with other technologies. And I have a friend who used an example that I copy from him since then, which is how many of us know how our car brakes work?
It's a great example.
I don't know. I just want them to work, but I don't know how they work. That's the same with Web3 or with blockchain or with AI. I do not want to know how they work as a user. I just want to be able to use them in a friendly, easy way, and that's a technical task. So it's the technical guys who need to keep developing products that are more and more user-friendly.
Yeah, totally. That's the key on this.
That's what you wanted to say.
You don't really have to know how it works underneath. We all use a car, but we don't know how an engine works. You know, you just need fuel, but you get to work with it. With the technologies in the Web3 space, it's the same. I mean, by definition, they are allowing more people to get access to technology by not, or even breaking these digital divisions. Go ahead.
Well, let me ask both of you, are there any specific industries or sectors where the application of AI or blockchain or other decentralized platforms have the most transformative potential? Are there any particular industries where you see just being disrupted totally by AI?
I mean, I do have to say it here today because this week has been crazy, but I do believe that especially blockchain technology and tokenization, it's disrupting financial markets. And I mean, that was my thought, but the SEC is confirming it because they're just cracking down every single crypto startup that is trying to do things in the US. So I think that's definitely a thing, even though crypto is a very small sector in the financial market. And then I would say maybe AI and certain crypto assets are also disrupting a lot, in a good way, the gaming industry.
Yeah. Totally. I see more disruption through decentralizing computing power. Because, I mean, in the past, we saw it from all enterprises having to create their on-premise servers and moving into the clouds with AWS, GCP, it doesn't mind. Like, this kind of decentralization has been disrupting, for example, enabling more startups, even in other countries, to develop their ideas through lowering the cost barrier in order to launch your project through this kind of decentralization of platforms. And also, for example, with blockchain, I saw a disruption in the past, I don't know in the future, but I mean, with ICOs, for example, in order to fundraise like a startup in the blockchain technology, many enterprises use this kind of fundraise in order to avoid dilution, and it was like a good way to start the hype train to get the start running up. So in the future, probably it's going to be AI, more specific in the generative AI. I mean, we'll just have to see what the last batch in the YC community has been. I mean, maybe more than 40% of the startups has been in the generative AI space. We don't know what's going to come next. Probably maybe quantum computing, as I was saying before, but I mean, we just can't do guesses.
And just, we have to bear in mind that I am sure that next year, most of us will be using central bank digital currencies. If that's not a disruption based on blockchain technology, then I don't know what it is.
But we'll all have to be here next year to find out, right? Let me ask you, Christina, what ethical considerations should businesses keep in mind when utilizing AI or blockchain technologies? Are there any major ethical issues that we need to be aware of when employing these new technologies?
I love this question. And I love it because usually I have always practiced in the software sector, and there's, this idea where when you're using a technology that's not specifically regulated, some people tend to think that if it's not regulated, then I can do whatever I want to do. I'm a technical profile, I can code this, it works, then I can do it. And that is a very wrong idea. There are legal barriers and ethical barriers. What sort of ethical barriers I do believe should be applied when you do not have a specific regulation in place? Common sense. That's the best one. I remember when the ICO bull run, we were living in the ICO bull run, and I was seeing so many unethical practices of market manipulation, and we're still seeing those today. With non-transparency, we were seeing privileged information conflicts of interests. All those things are regulated, not in the crypto space, but they are regulated. So what I was doing in those times with projects was telling them, hey guys, life is very long. We do not have an ICO regulation in place, but we know that if you're manipulating prices, that's something that you should not do. So do not do it. Even if you're doing it in crypto, do not do it. And then what's happened? Of course, life is very long, and what you do today may explode in your face in 3 years' time. And regulators came, they approved a new law, and they, of course, investigated those projects that had not followed common sense / ethical limits. So common sense sometimes is the best of the instruments.
Well, let me ask you, is there a way to codify these ethical concerns? Do you see any codification coming out so that businesses can implement the ethical or implement best practices that you've highlighted?
I don't think there is. The European regulation sums up quite a lot of them. But one of the things that I've seen in the crypto space is that community is very, very demanding. So what we've seen is communities punishing projects that did not follow certain basic ethical rules, which the community beforehand had established. So, I mean, it's some sort of auto-regulation.
Okay. So we have to wait and see. Is
Yeah.
that right? Okay. Well, thank you very much. There's a lot of change here and a lot of risk and opportunities I think you've both highlighted. Alberto, I want to come to you and ask you, what role do you see partnerships and collaborations playing in accelerating the adoption and evolution of these technologies?
I think, again, it depends on the technology we are speaking about. In decentralized platforms, along with blockchain, I see totally playing a big role, partnerships, since you are educating people on the blockchain, or at least you are trying, or you are building a new ecosystem and truly utilities that they can use in a daily basis without really realizing underneath it's blockchain, the technology that it's working. So I see partnerships in that space it's definitely the key, a really big role. In the AI space, for example, I see it not being such a key or big role for partnerships, since I think AI models, for example, may overlap between others. I think we see nowadays many enterprises being generated, but they are more like as a middleware. And by middleware, I mean like, let's say, a layer on top of a public, maybe AI model that other enterprises offering. So they may be more competitive in the space of AI, since they can maybe switch into more competitive to another enterprise easily. And for that, I think maybe partnerships are going to be more difficult to realize in the AI space. Yeah.
So we have about a minute and a half left, and I would like you both just to offer one item that you're most excited about with these technologies in your personal businesses.
Hard question, that one. I would say that for us in the legal sector, the following, so the most recent challenge or the following challenge that we're going to face is talent. It's super hard to hire lawyers with a deep technical knowledge. And I do believe that it's impossible to advise well a client in the tech space if you are not a tech freak. So that's the challenge I'm living today.
Thank you.
Okay, so in my case, I think these technologies and the key of our startup, let's say, it's enabling more people to get access to, well, in this case, video games. So we are lowering the barrier. So I guess in general, like technology and Web3 revolution, it's going to offer more technologies to people to make their lives easier, or even decrease the costs of trying and getting the same access as maybe other person in the other part of the world may have, but just through technologies. So, yeah.
Thank you.
That's what passionates me more.
Thank you, Alberto and Christina. Well, we've come to the end of our panel discussion, and as you can see, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment in history where AI, blockchain, and decentralized platforms are revolutionizing industries across the globe. These emerging technologies offer unprecedented opportunities for business evolution, enabling us to reimagine traditional models and unlock new realms of innovation. So thank you for your time and attention this morning.